Today we're here at Black Widow Bows, the headquarters where they build all the traditional equipment. So we're gonna walk in, talk to our buddy Miles. He's gonna walk us through the shop and show you guys how the bows are made, and heck, maybe even let us shoot some. Let's go. Well, we're here with Miles at Black Widow, and we're gonna walk through the shop. He's gonna show us all the cool stuff about how you guys make the bows. So
yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, so kind of starting over here. So we've got Larry and Bailey here working for us. Starting kind of with the risers, right? So we've got a bunch of wood laid up right here. You know, certain woods. We've got anything from, you know, a myrtle to a zebra wood, cocobolo, chichin. This is ipe, bacote, curly maple. You know, we've got all sorts of woods that have come through. What we've done is we've went through and we've seen, okay, what's coming up? You know, is it a PCH? Is it a PSA? Is it a PMA? You know, these are all going to turn into takedown risers. So we've got the wood laid up. We've got written down if it's a right hand, you know, a cooling grip or a standard grip, you know, a no red, that color scheme layout that they have ordered. So we've got those laid up and we've started the process. So basically all that is going to turn into this once it's all glued up. You know, Larry here, he's cleaning some clamps, and we're going to get all those layers glued up and pressed down and put into an oven. That oven's going to sit about 150 degrees, you know, let them sit in there for about 2 hours and take them out, and then we're going to go in and clean them in and make that ready to actually shape into a riser. So Bailey over here, what he's doing is he is taking apart a longbow. So this longbow has went in, same thing, we laid it out, we glued it up, put it on its form, and we had it set in the oven for about 2.5 hours. We've let it cool down now, so we're taking it apart. Once it's taken apart, he's gonna do just like on the risers, he's gonna write down, you know, the length and the grip and everything that I need to know to be able to run the profile. So here we've got some limbs that have been glued up. These are the ones he's been working on this week. So we've got written on them, you know, this is gonna be a 60-inch essay. You know, that's the serial number, so I know whose it belongs to, and it's gonna be left-handed. So when I take these down and clean them up, now I know, okay, I need to run this one to be a left-handed 60-inch essay. So I'm gonna know, you know, the holes to drill, the profile, and everything like that.
Can you walk through the tension that you're putting on each one of these two, like how that's different? That was really cool when you
talked about that. So every single one of these clamps, what will come through is, as you can see, we leave no space for anything. There's no gaps. Everything is pushed down. We've got metals and plastics on, and that helps even out that glue spread. You know, make sure there's no air pockets or anything like that under it. It is all an even press down. So what we come through is when we put on all these clamps, Bailey's gonna come through, he'll snug them up with his T-wrench, you know, maybe with the air wrench a little bit, and then he actually goes back through with this hand torque wrench, and he's gonna put a certain pound of pressure on each individual clamp. Now that pound of pressure differs from where the clamp is at in the limb, and what that helps is it helps the tiller come up really consistent without the limb, or throughout the limb. So it just helps everything stay super consistent and where it needs to be as far as like the load, where energy is stored within the limb. You know, that it's all got a different pound of pressure on it that Bailey will do.
That's sweet.
We actually keep very little exotic woods in here, which is surprising to a lot of people. People think, you know, all our wood is just here stored somewhere, but we get a lot of our woods through Rosewood Archery, and they're about 40 minutes north of us. Kyle and Mike Pyatt, we've been super good friends with them for as long as I can remember. And so we'll order kind of as we need it, because, you know, the longer an exotic wood is cut into, you know, like the limb veneers is anywhere from 20 to 30 thousandths thick, you know, super thin. So those exotic woods, the longer they're cut like that, they want to warp and they twist. So we try not to keep them here for that purpose. So we'll kind of order it as we need it. We'll go throughout the list, see, you know, what's due to glue up this week and what kind of woods we need, and we'll order it. And either Kyle or Mike will run it down to us, usually within the next week. And so we kind of order as we need it. Now we try to keep a little bit here, you know, just so if someone wants to come in and see a certain wood, you know, we have something to show them. But for the most part, you know, we kind of order it as we need it.
So how long would it take for someone, if they order a custom bow, for that to get from start to finish? Because this is a pretty extensive process.
So right now we're about 5 months. By the time you order it, by the time you get it, 3 of those months is waiting to get to your spot on the list.
Sure.
You know, we've got a list. We'll go down the list. Once the bow is started, you know, after that it's like an assembly line. You know, Bailey glues it. I'm gonna clean it up, run the profile. Greg's gonna do the tips. My dad Toby, he's gonna do the tillering and all that. John Wilson's, he's gonna do all the final sanding and the painting. You know, everyone here has got a role in the process.
Yep.
And it goes through an assembly line. So like Bailey, he's gluing all week. So all the ones that he glues this week, you know, so it might glue this week. Well, next Monday I'm coming down and I'm gonna start on all the ones he glued the previous week, you know, and I'm gonna run the profile and get them ready for tiller. Then the week after that, on that 3rd week is when they're gonna get, you know, the tips are all gonna get filed in. It's all gonna get final sanded and it's gonna get prepped to go into the paint room. So, I mean, you know, about a month of that, 4 to 6 weeks is actually the building process of your bow, you know, depending if you got overlays or snake skins, you know, something like that. So, you know, but right now with that whole process, getting to your spot and then actually building your bow is going to take about 5 months right now.
Yeah, even the month of assembly, that's still, that's a labor of love.
Yeah. So what we got right here is pretty neat. So this is actually, might be ugly right now, but that's going to turn into a takedown riser. So what I mean by takedown for these is this bow is actually going to pull apart into 2 pieces. So you will be able to literally pull this apart, put it in a bag, you know, anything like that. So what we've done here is we've ran the limb profiles. We've got this, you know, profiled and made sure it's going to make weight, you know, length. The tips have been filed in. Everything past the riser is pretty much good to go. You know, it just needs final sanded and everything. Now, as far as the riser section of it, what we've done is we've ran this part down super narrow, and then we've wrapped this with a fiberglass wrap. So this machine is something we actually built here, and what we do is we use this like cross-woven fiberglass, and we're gonna run that through this. It's gonna weave through all this into some glue, same glue that we use to glue up our bows. What we're gonna do is this limb will actually mount in here, and then when we turn it on, so we'll have a deal go on to this, it'll bolt down to this, and then we'll turn it on, and it's just gonna spin it. So once that'll slowly start to spin, you know, once it's mounted in there, that'll slowly spin. So this thing is just spinning, and we'll wrap this. We'll let that grab on and we'll wrap it. We'll wrap it to about that fat, and we'll let that dry. So these were wrapped yesterday morning, so by now, you know, they're pretty dry. So this is ready to now get shaped in. We know we're gonna cut in the sight window, and we're gonna start shaping that grip, and it'll actually start looking something like this. So this is one, you know, we've shaped it down. This is that black wrap, we've shaped it all in, and then when it pulls apart, it literally pulls apart like that.
That's so cool.
We've never had one of these fail, even under a pressure deal. It'll break at the wood before it breaks here. We've never actually had this break. A one-piece wooden riser will break before this breaks. We've had tremendous luck with this. This thing is super, super strong. We'll also wax them up and everything before we send them. Make sure there's no, you know, wiggle room or anything like that if there is. But till then, all that right there is going to turn into this to be a takedown bow. So
it's like something you can put in your carry-on bag at the airport.
It is.
Take your bow with you.
You know, and we get a lot of people who come in here. They'll come to the shows or something. They'll like start shooting our longbows, and they're like, "Okay, can I shoot a takedown longbow?" And I'll tell them like, "You just did." Like, what? You know, people don't even realize like it is a takedown because we'll put, you know, a leather wrap over this, and you'll never see the seam around it. You know, but all you got to do is grab it here and here and pull it apart. So we've had tremendous luck with it. It's super comfortable to shoot. Like I said, a lot of people don't even know they're shooting a takedown when they shoot it, but they are. So super, super handy to be able to, no tools needed, take it apart, throw it in a pack, jump on a horse, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, that's cool.
So this is Millie the milling machine. So we got Millie in 2001. We didn't start producing bows until about the end of 2003. The time between 2001 and 2003, they spent a lot of time tearing stuff up. So we got it, and then we had to figure out how to use it. So we got to figure it out, okay, what are we going to use it for? What part of the process of building the bow is it going to take? And then we had to figure out, okay, how are we going to hold it to be able to run it to perform that specific task? So every fixture that we have here, other than, of course, this 4th axis head, we actually built in this machine. So we ordered the materials for it. We had a guy here that, you know, he went to school and studied for actual programming and machining. He was a machinist here, and he helped build all these fixtures to be able to hold a product or a certain, you know, a limb or riser, whatever it needs to be able to run a certain task on it. So what this is set up for right here is we're about to run a riser profile. So this is a G10 PSA riser. So we've glued it up, you know, we've got the glass layered up in it, however the striping was ordered. You've got the butt blocks on it, so that's where the limb's actually gonna mount up to the riser. And we've got it mounted in here, you know, pretty solid. It's bolted down on this. And then we'll pull up, you know, that specific program. So I can say right here, this is gonna be a right-handed with a cooling grip, you know, so a low wrist style grip. So we're gonna pull up, you know, right hand, low wrist PSA riser. You know, so it's going to go in like this, and it's going to come out looking like that. So it goes in as a block, comes out. So this is another G10 riser that we put in. So it went in looking just like that, and now it looks like this. So you can see, I mean, it's just a bunch of tool paths. There's a lot of sharp edges. Everything from here is going to be done by hand. So we'll come and we'll sand all this out. We'll round all this in. You know, we're going to finish shaping the grip in. We're going to round the shelf more and everything, and get this finished out. But that's the longest program to run. It takes about 45 minutes, to where, you know, in the past we would glue a riser up, you'd clean it up, and then you would take this up there to those sanders and just start going at it.
Working on it?
Yeah, start going at it till you got it to where it looked good, or you went too far and you had to restart.
If I did that, every boat would look completely different.
And it really helps stay super consistent, especially with the limbs. It helps everything stay super consistent. So that way we're able to, you know, if you wanted another set of limbs down the road, we can produce a limb that's going to perform and be, you know, in tiller and everything just like your old set of limbs. So
sweet.
Super helpful with consistency. So we'll come around here. These are just more fixtures and everything. Like I said, everything on this rack was built in that machine. It's all with a certain purpose. You know, this one we're running limb tips on. This one I'm profiling one-piece limbs with. You know, this one we're profiling longboat handles with. You know, everything's got a specific purpose here. So we'll sneak around and we'll meet Milton. So Milton is the same exact machine. He's just 2 years newer. So we got him 2 years after we got Millie there. And the only difference in him, other than being 2 years newer, is he can change tools just a little bit quicker. That's about it. So each machine has a certain task and a role that it does weekly, but we can do the other machine's work in that machine if need be. You know, if 1 week, you know, this machine happened to go down or something, you know, we break a belt on it that we need to replace or something, while we're doing that, we can still run, you know, its work inside the other machine, you know, to keep it going. So what we've got set up right here is Larry that was up there. He's been running limb riser boards. So we've cut these phenolic strips. They're going to actually mount into that that fixture there that we've built, and then it'll come down with the 1-inch end mills, and it'll cut each side, and it just gives that rough cut. It's a super quick profile, so it's going to come cut that. Now after that, Bailey will take these, because, you know, he's going to use these to glue in the limbs. So this is actually, this phenolic is what you see in the limbs right here. So this black part of the limb, that is this phenolic. So they're glued up into one piece, and then, you know, we'll cut it in half, and it's going to be your top and your lower limb. So what Bailey does is he'll come, when he takes these to glue the material down for the limbs, he's going to go up to that belt sander up there, and he's going to feather that out to where there's no hard edges, you know, where that material's coming and you've got a hard lip. You know, he's going to feather that out into the limb and get that ready to turn into a set of limbs. So that's what we were running here this morning, getting some of these, just getting a bunch of these made and ready. We'll store those to be ready to be feathered and ran. We'll jump back in here into the saw room here. So this is where we store a lot of our glass. So as you can see, it's sorted by, you know, color. We've also got it by thickness and by length. So when Bailey goes to glue up a bow, he's going to see, you know, the type of material it needs depending on, you know, the color. If it's a no red limb or, you know, a standard limb, he's going to come and he's going to come pull the material he needs. We've also got some, you know, the clear glass, of course, that's going on over the wood. We've got a lot of that stored over in boxes, and actually most of that's actually stored up there with Bailey, so he can just grab it and go when he has the materials already. Same thing on this side. We just have it cut shorter to, you know, for the risers. So same thing, you know, it's cut different lengths for the risers. So when we come back here, you know, we've already got the wood that we saw up front, and you know, one of those, if it said like a no red or maybe a standard layup, we'd come and pull the glass. So I've went through, like on this one, grabbed, you know, 85s, the red, and got it laid up ready for limbs. So here in the paint room, John Wilson, he's been working for us here for 28 years. He paints for us. How many, out of that 28 years, how long you been painting?
Probably at least 25 or 26. So
yeah, nice. Yeah. So he's mastered the craft of being artistic with it. So what we do with these is these are ones that, of course, have been painted. So these by now have 3 coats of paint on them. So we paint Thursdays and Fridays with a 2-part epoxy from Thunderbird. So Thursdays we're going to give 2 coats of gloss. We're going to let those dry overnight, and then on Friday, what John has done and he's put the frost or the dust finish on it. You know, gives it more that dull look compared to the real shiny,
takes the
bright.
gloss away.
Yeah, it takes that gloss, that sheen off of it, and puts more of that natural look onto it. So he's come through, and we've done all these. Now, before he did that, what he came in this morning is he'd come through and look at any of them that after the 2 coats of gloss on them, make sure there wasn't any paint runs, any parts like in the handles where some woods will soak paint up more than others. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if there's any type of imperfection like that. If there is, normally we'll just hold it back, we'll 320 it, and we'll repaint it again the next week. So that is what he has done here. Same with the one-piece bows hanging over here. So you can see they're still pretty shiny. He hasn't got to those yet. You know, he's still working on the limbs and the risers and getting those ready. So he's mixed up the paint that he needed. He's get all that measured by, you know, how many one-piece bows, how many limbs, how many risers he knows he's painting that week. Mm-hmm. So he'll come measure that all up and get that ready to paint. So he's got a PSR, takedown PSR hanging in the booth right now that he's about to dust and get that ready to be done. So once they get the last coat on Friday, we'll let them hang over the weekend. Mm-hmm. And then on Monday, Tim will actually come in and he'll take them down and basically get them prepped to ship. He also, you know, our quality control, he's going to look and make sure, you know, again, that the dust didn't have any paint runs on it, or maybe nothing stuck to the limb and got dusted over. Mm-hmm. Anything that John might have missed, you know, that's what Tim's going to be looking out for. And then he's also going to come through and he's going to pull the risers down. He's going to put on the shelf rest and glue in the stud pins, you know, same with the limbs. He's getting it all prepped to be ready to assemble together and ship out to who they belong to.
What's up, guys? Hope you guys enjoyed the Black Widow bow tour behind the scenes, learning all about how they make the bows. Right after we did the tour, we sat down with Toby and Miles and talked about the history of Black Widow, the difference between recurves and longbows, and a bunch of just different traditional hunting topics. So if you guys want to see that podcast, make sure to go check it out on the channel. We're going to give you a little preview of what that podcast looked like in the highlights right now, and we hope you guys will go check it out. Peace.
I've always argued that traditional hunting makes you a better hunting. You've got to plan everything out for it to be, you know, point blank range.
So I just heard the longbow puts a little more hair on your chest.
It does. I mean, you got to be a little more manly to shoot.
I'll admit, it's harder to shoot than a recurve. It is, but
it was hard to sell a recurve. You know, the compound had come into play. Black Widow was struggling.
What is it exactly that makes a good recurve bow? Like, what are the challenges of making one?
I'd say challenges would be more or less just working with the material used, you know, especially a lot of the woods, because every wood's different.
But if I took it on an elk hunt, I guarantee you that thing would end up as firewood by the end of the day. There's
every person here has a process in the bow build. So like, you order a bow, like, you're gonna know every single person here had some part in building that bow.
I like to hunt from the ground. I've been known to get my barrel and drag it up a little closer. I like it. It's just more intense. It's more fun, you know.
Still to this day is the only non-typical bull that I have ever seen. To where one side it was just
basically just one big main beam and a whale tail, and then the other side was all deformed and messed up.